There are many sages and gurus in the history of India, but visionaries are only a few. Sri Swami Chinmayananda was not only a sage of modern times, not only a guru, but also a great visionary, whose work touched the whole world. We are blessed to have had the great fortune of being under the guidance of Pujya Gurudev. On this special day, we would like to give you a glimpse of the remarkable journey that was Pujya Gurudev's life, and pay tribute to the visionary who has become an inspiration to us all.
This story begins on May 8, 1916, when a baby was born to a noble and aristocratic family in Kerala. His name was Balkrishna Menon, and he would become one of the greatest visionaries of our times, transforming and touching the lives of thousands around the world. Balan, as he was fondly called, spent his entire childhood amidst a lot of love and attention. He grew up as a charming but mischievous boy in a religious family that encouraged inquisitiveness and original thinking. But throughout his childhood, Balan was forced to attend the communal prayers and daily rituals undertaken by the women of his family.
Balan came up with a special game to deal with his boredom. He would look at his favorite picture in the puja room, a meditative picture of Lord Shiva, then close his eyes and try and remember every detail.
Little did the young Balan know that this simple game is actually a powerful form of meditation. At this young age, Balan had already begun to build the tools necessary for spiritual upliftment. Often, in his later years, Balan would return to his childhood mantra, Om Namah Shivaya, to calmly and rest in his heart.
Through this practice, Balan developed a very good memory and was thus able to excel in school. There he was a happy and confident student, but one who was a little spoiled too.
Ready for school today?
Homework.
You've done yours. You're
Come on,
writing
don't throw that at
exams.
me.
Homework.
I hate this teacher. She gets too much of your homework.
She's not that bad.
She gets too much. What's in your mind? I do.
All the time.
All right, now, give it to someone down. Quiet.
Hit me.
I hope you've all remembered that your assignments are due this week. Yes? No? I was expecting a number of you to come to see me for tutorials this week. And perhaps, and not surprisingly, only one of you found the time. Yes, quite right. Hermione here will certainly pass all the subjects with flying colours.
Mud blood.
And as for the rest of you, pray tell, what excuses do you have?
But miss,
Yes or no?
there was a death in my family. My third cousin's mother, sisters.
Not only do you have a very large extended family, even for an Indian, but I fear that they're dying off at a very alarming rate. Quite soon, I suspect, they should be completely extinct. Perhaps we can discuss your family's complete lack of an immune system after class. Now, let's get on with today's subject, which is the very relevant subject of the British in India. All right, the first thing is...
Yay!
Welcome! Nice of you to make it.
Hi, miss.
But we just began to discuss the very delicate subject of the British in India. I know that this is a matter very close to your own heart.
Miss, you started the discussion without me already? Hey guys, without me here, what's there to discuss?
You're the man. Yeah, boy.
All right, Balan, let's start with you, seeing that you decided to grace us with your presence. I know that you have a deep and an abiding interest in political science. So what would you do if you were leading the freedom movement in India?
If I was the leader of the freedom movement? Simple, I would ask the British to leave India.
And how exactly do you propose to do that?
With logic and reason, of course.
Well,
reason will always win out, if presented properly, with honesty and honor.
But Balan, the British are too powerful. They have superior arms and ammunition. We'd fight ourselves to death. We're so powerless.
Wait. These are the old ways of thinking. We cannot assume that things will remain the way that they are. We must find new ways to solve new problems. Or else, we are doomed.
He's off for money, just like usual.
All I'm saying is, this is Mother India, our sacred land. We must persuade the British to leave India so that India can revive herself. But we must do it without bloodshed, without acrimony, and without prejudice. We must help India rebuild herself from within. We must find better ways. There must be better ways.
Balan spoke with the arrogance of adolescence. He always had a mind of his own, and had formed strong views from his extensive reading and childhood habit of questioning. But even at this early age, he showed strong signs of strong leadership, strength of conviction, and an innate sense of right and wrong.
Between the ages of 18 and 21, Balan pursued his university studies. But as conflicts heated up, and inspired by Mahatma Gandhi's Quit India movement, Balan realized that his goals could not be limited to just university studies. So he joined the freedom struggle.
During this time, Balan was arrested and held with hundreds of other freedom fighters in a British jail, cruelly beaten in cold, dark cells.
Help! Need water! Water! Water!
We are all sick. We need medicine. At least give us some water. When you see these people, they need help.
A typhoid fever raged through the overcrowded prison, claiming many lives. The British, overwhelmed, came up with a solution that ironically saved Balan's life. They threw the sick prisoners out onto the street.
This man looks like my son. Not my son, but someone else's son. Come home with me, where I can look after you. I will take care of you as my own.
The kind lady hardly realized that she had saved the life of a future Hindu sage who'd one day become a renowned global teacher.
After his recovery, Balan went to Bombay and worked for the National Herald newspaper. There he became a man of the town, wearing fashionable suits and mingling in wealthy social circles. But while the wealthy were fascinated by his wit and intelligence, Balan often reflected on how hollow and superficial their lives seemed to be.
How's your article going? The Quit India movement is getting nowhere. It is time for the leaders of the movement to quit India. Is this writing? How does this help our cause? We must encourage our country and provide constructive criticism. Budlu, if you don't know how to write, I suggest you go and write for the Sun. Now get out!
me this unusual article.
What is it?
It's about this guy's visit to the Himalayas where he spent a month with this Swami Shivananda.
Who's this dude? Is he crazy? What's he doing in the Himalayas with Swamis?
All I'm saying is this article makes sense. Perhaps there are different ways of looking at life. As the editor of this paper, you are always looking for the truth, always seeking to expose the falsehoods in society. Perhaps we should not be looking at the city, but perhaps we should be looking to the ancient teaching.
Good God, man! Listen to yourself talking about utter nonsense. This nonsense, that nonsense. All I seem to be is consumed with nonsense. Listen, the problem with this country is that it has no firm foundation, and instead blindly relies on the religion preached by those without any understanding. If you want to expose the falsehood in society, I suggest we go and expose these so-called holy men.
Alright, chill. I'll leave it here. Maybe you'll glance at it later.
Swamis, what next?
Balan had reached a stage in his life where everything he had achieved seemed to be of little consequence. There were many questions in his mind. Who am I? How did this creation come to be? Is there any purpose to this existence? So far, his endeavors had provided no answers.
Maybe his friend was right. Maybe, just maybe, the answers could be found in the ancient teachings of India. Balan decided to find out for himself. So he picked up and left. He traveled all over India, experiencing the diversity of the colorful land and getting to know its people.
During his travels, Balan happened to visit the place where the great Bhagwan Sri Rama Rishi lived. He saw the great sage reclining on a platform with his eyes closed. The realized sage suddenly opened his eyes and looked directly into Balan's eyes. That all-knowing look pierced the depths of Balan's soul and left him in a trance-like state.
Later, Gurudev said, I know in that one moment, with that one look, he knew everything about me, even things I did not know myself. I sat there, transfixed, as if my whole life was going up and away.
This experience touched Balan to the very core of his being and would always remain with him.
After many months of study and spiritual practice, Balan decided to go to the Himalayas and seek out the Swamis that lived there. If they had something to teach him, then good. Otherwise, if they were frauds, he would expose them. Either way, he had nothing to lose. With these thoughts, Balan reached Rishikesh, the ashram of Swami Shivananda. From this point on, Balan's life would never be the same again.
Hari Om Swamiji, we have a visitor to the ashram.
What is your name?
Balakrishna Menon.
Welcome. How long do you intend to stay with us?
About 2 days. I'm a reporter, and I want to write about my experience here at ashram. To tell you the truth, Swami, I want to reveal to the world the truth about Hindu sages.
Ah, you're most welcome. The whole ashram is available for you. But I think you better stay a bit longer. 2 days is not long enough. There are some students out here who have been living for 10 years and they're yet to uncover the truth.
Balan extended his stay to 4 days, then a week, then 2 weeks, and finally a month. During his time there, he showed little outward signs of contemplation. He was an extrovert, constantly drilling everyone with questions, and always talking.
Balan? Balan, God has blessed you with such special intelligence. You're right to question everything. Now use this intelligence to analyze the world around you. You see everything, things, beings, happenings in this universe are temporary, finite, illusory. You would not find happiness in these things, only in misery. What you are seeking is a deep, abiding sense of contentment. So, there is it. In here, Balan, here inside you. Observe, witness, begin here. Think about your life down in the plains and then draw your own conclusion. You must find out for yourself. Yes?
Yes, Swamiji.
You've gone on from saying Swami to Swamiji. At least that's an improvement. You're leaving tomorrow, but you'll be back to see us again soon.
Balan returned a changed man. He continued his work as a journalist, and as Swami Shivananda predicted, returned to Rishikesh as often as he could. A new theme now entered his journalistic work and governed his life: spirituality. He wrote on spiritual matters, reviewed spiritual articles, and spoke out ever more strongly on social matters and injustices.
At one point, Balan decided to undertake a pilgrimage through the Himalayas. And there, in Uttarkashi, he met one of the greatest masters of Vedantic philosophy, Pujya Swami Tapovan Maharaj, a master who would one day become his guru and the grandfather of Chinmaya mission.
Swami Tapovanam was known for his austerity. His ashram comprised nothing more than a simple hut with mud walls, a slate roof, and nothing in the way of worldly comforts.
Reveling in Swami Tapovan Maharaj's presence, Balan was struck by the awe-inspiring beauty of the Himalayas, the rushing, leaping rivers, the mossy mountainside, such godliness, such peace. He recalled the parting words of Swami Tapovan: "Without ego, you will find God shining everywhere, in rocks, in plants, in water, in the sky. But with ego, you will find God nowhere."
Balan was finally beginning to understand.
For nearly 2 more years, Balan remained in the Himalayas studying with Swami Shivananda. And in 1949, he made a decision that would change not only his life, but the life of thousands around the world. He decided to take up sannyas, to become a renunciate and dedicate his entire life to the teachings and study of the spiritual truths of Vedantic philosophy.
On the 25th of February 1949, on the holy day of Mahashivratri, Balkrishna Menon was initiated with the divine order of sannyas by Swami Shivananda. Pujya Swami Chinmayananda Saraswati was born.
Gurudev set off on the daring quest of mastering the sacred scriptures of Vedanta. To master Vedanta, they say, is to know the mind of God. But such a quest is not for the faint-hearted, nor for an undisciplined mind.
In Vedanta, 8 great blessings. The first is to be born a human being. The second is to have a longing for liberation. And the third is to find your guru. All of us here have the first blessing. And those of us who genuinely seek liberation are lucky. We are twice blessed. In his heart, Swami Chinmayananda knew he was thrice blessed. For he had already met his guru, up there in the snow-clad mountains, in that small mud hut with the stone roof.
With Swami Shivananda's blessings, Gurudev went to seek his guru, Swami Tapovan, knowing that the life which lay ahead of him was one of very strict austerity and unbending self-discipline.
For nearly 3 years, like the earth receives the Ganga from Lord Shiva, Gurudev received knowledge from his guru. To those who witnessed the master and his dynamic pupil at work and play, it must have seemed that they were made for each other.
Life with Swami Tapovan was a living Vedantic lesson of the principle that the highs and the lows of life should be treated with equal dispassion. Swami Tapovan seemed to know everybody's weaknesses, and if their faith needed to be tested, then he could be ruthless.
Chinmaya? Chinmaya, I've been given this piece of cloth as a gift by a devotee. Please make it into a robe for me.
Gurudev carefully cut the fabric, stitched it by hand, dyed it orange, and then laid it out over some bushes to dry. He then folded it carefully and put it in a paper wrapping. He then presented it to his guru.
Swamiji, I have made the robe as you requested.
Look, you tore the robe. You were careless. Your attention was not on what you were doing.
No, Swamiji, I was very careful.
I was watching you taking it off the bushes. You were careless.
No, Swamiji, I took great care. I cannot understand how it happened.
You are clearly lying now. I see it very clearly.
This was a heavy blow for Gurudev, to be called a liar. After this incident, whenever Gurudev approached his hut, Swami Tapokana would taunt him by calling him a liar.
Liar.
Gurudev's frustration stirred to boiling point until he could bear it no longer.
What is troubling you, Chinmaya? I have never seen you in this state.
Swamiji has accused me of tearing his robe. I am convinced I did not tear it, but he will not let this go. Can my guru be such a great master if he's concerned with a torn piece of cloth? Perhaps the time has come for me to leave and study on my own.
My dear Chinmaya, these are your guru's ways. He is testing you, teaching you to treat both condemnation and praise with equal dispassion.
Ah, the liar has arrived.
Perhaps.
Oh, so now you see. If the whole of creation is a lie, why make such a big issue of one little lie?
As the years went by, Gurudev developed the conviction that any system of religious belief or philosophy is of little use unless it has practical value or social wealth. One day, as Gurudev stood on the banks of the Ganges, he had a revelation.
Swamiji, look at Mother Ganga. She speaks to me. She says, "See me, born in the Himalayas. I come down into the plains, giving life and nourishment to all in my path. No possession is fulfilled unless it is shared with others. Swamiji, I must go back down to the people and share the ancient knowledge of Vedanta. I know they yearn for peace and strength in their lives."
Religion and knowledge are only for those who strive for it. But I see this vision burning in your heart. Go, Chinmaya. Go back into society. Walk the streets. Be a man of no means. Listen and learn. Give that ego a good shake. And then return. See if all this remains your dream.
For 5 months, Gurudev travelled through the heartland of India, listening and learning. Nothing daunted him. He became more and more convinced that society needed to hear this knowledge. His mission in life became clearer each day: to spread the knowledge of Vedanta, to convert Hindus to Hinduism.
Swamiji, I have seen India, but after centuries of foreign rule, our people are completely out of touch with their religion, philosophy and culture. It is my dream to rekindle this knowledge and make India proud of her ancient and glorious culture.
But what language will you use? India has no common tongue.
With English. With English, Swamiji, I will travel the length and breadth of the country. I will conduct Gyan Yagnas and rekindle the ancient knowledge of Vedanta amongst our people.
You have undertaken a mammoth task, Chinmaya. May the Supreme Lord guide you on this glorious mission.
And so, with the blessings of his Guru, Gurudev came down to the plains from the Himalayan heights with a dream in his heart and a vision to realize his dream. The year was 1951. His first Gyan Yagna consisted of 4 people, including himself. But that majestic talk, given by a majestic monk, laid the edifice of a movement whose glory now spans the entire length and breadth of the globe.
But the early days were not easy. Brahmin priests objected strongly to an English-speaking Swami, publicly expounding the much guarded Vedic wisdom. But Gurudev strived on with determination, and he began to win hearts across India and the globe. And with his clarity of explanations, he won hearts, and with determination and clarity.
As the number of yagnas and other activities in India and around the world grew, Gurudev's devotees became inspired to form an organization whose aim is to spread the timeless wisdom of Vedanta, to make a Hindu a better Hindu, a Muslim a better Muslim, and a Christian a better Christian. It would unite all the service done for humanity by Gurudev under one name, the Chinmaya Mission family. Thus, in 1953, the Chinmaya Mission was born.
Gurudev Dev Samadhi on the 3rd of August 1993. He left behind a blazing trail of Hindu Renaissance, a transformation of hearts and love in the hearts of all his devotees. His vision lives on through the Chinmaya Mission, which continues Gurudev's work across the globe. His grace and blessings continue to inspire the hearts of many thousands of devotees around the world.
But what is the aim of the Chinmaya mission? Gurudev said, "Do not rush out to change the world. Chinmaya mission is not there for you to look out into the external world. It is there so that each one of you might develop internally. Only self-improvement is important. We are not interested in the number of buildings and institutions we possess as a mission. Instead, we are more interested in how far each individual has become an institution."
And this is the key. It is not important how many classes we have, or even how many people attend. What is important is how many of us try to live the principles that we learn, stay true to our convictions, and as our Gurudev said, become institutions in ourselves.
We are the architects of today. We live in his vision. We strive to live what Gurudev has taught, to enjoy the wonders of the world, but by employing the art of right contact, to escape the trap of meaningless sorrows.
Gurudev made a promise to his devotees. The further I go, the nearer I shall be to each one of you. This has been a promise that he has kept and continues to keep.
We hope you have enjoyed a glimpse of what was a remarkable life of a truly inspiring saint.
Hare Om.